The crystal city of Luzhai burned in the distance. Cassandra watched the orange flames dance across the tall spires that had stood for thousands of years. Her people built those towers with their own hands, growing them from the living crystal that made up their bodies. Now the Vorthak were melting them down like candles. She turned away from the window and walked to the quantum transmitter. The machine hummed with power, its blue light casting strange shadows on the walls. This was their last hope. Every other communication device on the planet was either destroyed or about to be destroyed. The Vorthak moved fast when they attacked a world. "Elder Cassandra," said Veltar, her assistant. His crystal body flickered with nervous yellow light. "The ships are almost here. We have maybe 10 minutes before they reach the communication center." Cassandra nodded. 10 minutes to send a message across the galaxy. 10 minutes to save her entire species. She moved to the control panel and began typing the coordinates. Her fingers shook as she entered the numbers. The Alturian Council was their only chance. They were the peacekeepers of the galaxy, the ones who stopped wars and saved civilizations. The Alturians lived far away in the Andromeda galaxy. They were known for being kind and helpful. They had saved dozens of species from extinction. If anyone would help the Zilani, it would be them. But Cassandra was scared and tired. She had not slept in 3 days. Her people were dying all around her. The screams from the city below mixed with the sound of Vorthak weapons. When she typed the 7th digit of the coordinate sequence, her finger slipped. Instead of typing a 7, she typed a 4. She did not notice the mistake. "Message ready," said Veltar. "What should we tell them?" Cassandra thought for a moment. What could she say that would make the Alturians understand? How could she explain the horror that was happening to her people? "Record this," she said. Her voice was steady now, even though her body still flickered with fear. "To anyone who receives this message, we are the Zilani Confederation. Our worlds are being destroyed by the Vorthak swarm. They are insects, but bigger than any insect should be. They eat everything. They take our cities, our people, our planets, and turn them into more of themselves." She paused and looked out the window again. A Vorthak bioship was landing near the crystal gardens where she used to walk as a child. Soldiers poured out of it like black water. "We have 12 worlds," she continued. "We had 12 worlds. Now we have 6. Tomorrow we might have none. The Vorthak do not talk. They do not negotiate. They just consume. They are coming to our home world now. We do not have much time." The building shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. The Vorthak were getting closer. "Please," Cassandra said, and now her voice did shake. "If anyone hears this, help us. We are not warriors. We are builders and artists and farmers. We do not know how to fight creatures like this. We are dying. They consume everything, please. Someone help us." She included the star charts showing where they were. She added tactical information about the Vorthak ships and weapons. She put in everything she could think of that might help someone find them and save them. "Send it," she told Veltar. The assistant pressed the activation button. The transmitter hummed louder. Energy built up in the crystal core until it glowed like a small sun. Then, with a sound like breaking glass, the message shot out into space, but it did not go to the Andromeda galaxy. Because of Cassandra's mistake, it went to a small spiral galaxy called the Milky Way. It traveled through the dark between stars, moving faster than light, carrying its desperate plea for help. The message flew past giant stars and small planets. It went through asteroid fields and nebulas. It traveled for 3 days, moving toward a tiny yellow star on the edge of a spiral arm. The star was not special. It was medium-sized and middle-aged, but it had 9 planets, and the 3rd planet was covered in water and clouds. The people of this planet called it Earth. The message reached Earth's solar system and was picked up by radio telescopes. At first, the computers thought it was just noise from space, but then the patterns became clear. This was not natural. This was artificial. This was made by someone intelligent. Dr. Sarah Chen was working the night shift at the radio telescope array. She was drinking coffee and reading data when her computer started beeping. At first, she thought it was an error, but when she looked at the screen, she saw something impossible. The signal was complex and organized. It had mathematical patterns that could only come from an intelligent source. But more than that, it was trying to communicate. Someone, somewhere in space, was trying to talk to Earth. Sarah's hands shook as she began to decode the message. It took her 2 hours to figure out the basic structure. It took her 4 more hours to understand what it was saying. When she finally read the translation, she almost fell out of her chair. This was a cry for help from another planet. Another species. They were being attacked and destroyed by enemies they could not fight. They were asking for help from anyone who could hear them. Sarah looked at the star charts included in the message. The Zilani homeworld was 847 light-years away. With current human technology, it would take thousands of years to reach them. But they were asking for help now. She picked up her phone and called her supervisor. Then she called the space agency. Then she called the government. Within hours, the message was being studied by experts all over the world. Some people said it was fake. Some said it was a trick by enemy countries. Some said it was impossible and refused to believe it. But others looked at the mathematics and the star charts and the detailed information about alien technology, and they knew it was real. The President of the United States held an emergency meeting. The leaders of other countries joined by video link. For 12 hours they argued about what to do. Some wanted to ignore the message. Some wanted to study it for years before deciding. Some wanted to send a message back saying Earth could not help. But then Admiral Marcus Rodriguez spoke up. He was an old soldier who had fought in 3 wars. He had seen the best and worst of humanity. He looked at the translation of the alien message and then looked at the world leaders on the screen. "These people are dying," he said. "They sent out a call for help and somehow it reached us. We might be the only ones who got their message. If we do nothing, they all die. But we can't reach them," said the president. "It would take thousands of years." "Dr. Tanaka's quantum drive," said Rodriguez. "The one that's too dangerous to test. Maybe it's time to test it." Dr. Yuki Tanaka was watching the meeting from her laboratory. Her experimental faster-than-light drive had never been tested with humans aboard. The computer model said it might work. They also said it might kill everyone who used it. "The drive is not ready," she said. "We don't know if it's safe." "Nothing about this is safe," said Rodriguez. "But these aliens need help now, not in 1,000 years. Are we the kind of species that ignores cries for help because it's dangerous to respond?" The vote was close. Some countries said no. Some said yes. In the end, enough said yes to make it happen. Earth would answer the call for help. Within 72 hours, 6 ships were being prepared at Luna Station. The crews were all volunteers. Marines, Navy SEALs, fighter pilots, doctors, and engineers. They knew they might die. They knew they might never come home. But they also knew that somewhere in space people were dying, and Earth was the only hope they had. The message from the Zilani had found the wrong species. They had asked for help from peaceful Alturians. Instead, they got humans. The Zilani were about to learn that sometimes getting the wrong number is exactly what you need. Dr. Sarah Chen had not slept in 3 days. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the star charts from the alien message. The Zilani were 847 light-years away, and their enemies were destroying their worlds right now. Every hour that passed meant more of them died. She stood in the Mission Control Center at Luna Station and watched the ships being loaded. The Indomitable was the biggest, an assault carrier that could hold 200 fighters. The Wolverine and Honey Badger were destroyers, built for ship-to-ship combat. The Florence Nightingale was a medical ship, painted white with red crosses. The 2 supply ships were packed with weapons, ammunition, food, and medical supplies. "You sure about this drive?" asked Admiral Rodriguez. He was standing beside her, watching the loading crews work. His gray hair was cut short and his face showed the lines of someone who had made hard decisions before. "No," said Sarah honestly. "The computer models say it should work. The math is solid, but we have never tested it with living people aboard. The quantum fields might scramble your atoms. The temporal distortions might age you to death in seconds, or you might just disappear completely." Rodriguez nodded. "And if we don't go?" Sarah looked at the message translation on her tablet. "Then the Zilani all die. That settles it then." The loading crews finished their work. The volunteers began boarding the ships. Sarah watched them walk up the ramps carrying their gear and weapons. They were all young and strong, the best that Earth's military had to offer. Many of them had families back on Earth. All of them knew they might never see home again. Commander Elena Vasquez led her Marine squad onto the Indomitable. She was small and tough, with scars on her hands from previous battles. Her squad called her Iron Lady because nothing seemed to break her spirit. She stopped at the top of the ramp and looked back at Earth. "What are you thinking about?" asked Sergeant Mike Torres, her second in command. "Wondering if we're crazy," she said. Flying across the galaxy to help aliens we've never met. Probably, said Torres. But it's the right kind of crazy. Dr. Yuki Tanaka was already aboard the Indomitable, checking the quantum drive one last time. The device filled an entire room with cables and pipes running in all directions. It hummed with contained energy that could fold space and time. In theory, it would let them travel 847 light-years in just a few days. In practice, it might kill them all. Final systems check, she announced over the ship's communication system. Quantum field generators are stable. Temporal stabilizers are online. Navigation computers have the coordinates locked in. Lieutenant Sarah Morrison climbed into her exosuit in the Marine Bay. The suit was 8 feet tall and powered by fusion batteries. It could punch through steel and survive in space. She had painted a skull on the helmet and written tank on the chest plate. Her squad had nicknamed her that because nothing seemed to stop her once she got moving. "Remember the mission," said Commander Vasquez over the radio. "We're going to help the Zilani evacuate their people and fight off their enemies. We don't know much about these Vorthak things, but we know they're hostile and they don't negotiate." The pilots climbed into their fighters. Captain James Hawk Peterson strapped himself into the cockpit of his F-99 Raptor. The fighter was sleek and fast, designed for combat in space. It carried railguns, missiles, and enough fuel for 3 days of battle. Hawk had been flying for 10 years and had never lost a dogfight. "All pilots, this is Hawk," he said over the squadron channel. "We're going into unknown territory against unknown enemies. Stay close, watch each other's backs, and remember your training. And if things get bad, remember that someone is counting on us to show up." Admiral Rodriguez took his place on the bridge of the Indomitable. The screens around him showed the status of all 6 ships. The crews were ready. The weapons were loaded. The quantum drive was charged. All they needed now was the order to go. "Admiral," said the communications officer, "we're getting a message from the Zilani again." Put it on screen. The image that appeared was fuzzy and filled with static. But Sarah could see enough to know it was bad. The alien looked like a person made of living crystal, but parts of it were cracked and dark. Behind it, she could see fire and smoke. "To anyone who received our message," the alien said. Its voice was strange, like wind chimes in a storm. "This is Elder Cassandra of the Zilani. Our situation has become worse. The Vorthak have taken 8 of our 12 worlds. They are attacking our homeworld now. We do not have much time left. If anyone is coming to help us, please hurry. We are trying to evacuate our people, but our ships are not fast enough. The Vorthak ships are faster and stronger than ours. We are losing the fight. Please, if anyone can hear this, we need help now." The transmission cut off. Rodriguez looked around the bridge. His officers were watching him, waiting for orders. The responsibility of 6 ships and 800 lives rested on his shoulders. They were about to travel farther from Earth than any human had ever gone, to fight enemies they knew nothing about, to save aliens they had never met. "All ships," he said into his microphone. "This is Admiral Rodriguez. Today we do something that has never been done before. We answer a call for help from across the galaxy. We don't know if we'll succeed. We don't know if we'll survive. But we know that people are dying, and we have the chance to save them." He paused and looked at the star chart showing the location of the Zilani homeworld. "I'm proud to serve with all of you. No matter what happens out there, Earth will remember that when aliens called for help, humans answered. All ships prepare for quantum jump." Dr. Tanaka's voice came over the intercom. "Quantum drive is ready. All personnel, secure for dimensional transition. This might get rough." The ships formed up in space near Luna Station. The Indomitable took the lead, with the other ships arranged around it. Energy began to build up in the quantum drives, creating a glow that could be seen from Earth. Sarah watched from the bridge as space began to bend around them. Stars stretched into lines of light. The moon and Earth twisted and warped until they didn't look real anymore. The quantum field built up to critical levels. "Jump in 3, announced Dr. Tanaka. 2, 1, jump." Reality folded in on itself. The ships disappeared from normal space and entered the quantum tunnel. Stars and planets flashed by like ghosts. Time moved strangely, sometimes fast and sometimes slow. The human crews held on as their ships rode the folded space toward the Zilani homeworld. For 3 days they traveled through the twisted space between dimensions. Some crew members got sick from the strange effects. Others had nightmares about falling through endless space. But the ships held together and the quantum drive kept working. On the 3rd day they dropped back into normal space. "Navigation, where are we?" asked Rodriguez. 47 light-years from Earth, sir. We're in the Zelani system. What do we see? The tactical officer checked his screens. Multiple ships in the area. Large organic-looking vessels attacking smaller crystal ships. Explosions on the planet's surface. Admiral, we're right in the middle of a battle. Rodriguez looked at the main screen. He could see the Zelani homeworld below them, its crystal cities burning. Ugly bioships surrounded it like a swarm of insects. Small Zelani vessels tried to escape, but the enemy ships cut them down with energy weapons. All ships, he said. We have found our fight. These Vorthak things are shooting at civilians. I don't care what species they are or where they come from. Nobody shoots at civilians while we're around. He turned to his weapons officer. Load all guns. Launch all fighters. Target anything shooting at the Zelani ships. Sir, we don't know how strong they are or what weapons they have. Rodriguez smiled grimly. Then we're about to find out. All ships weapons free. Show these bugs what humans think of bullies. The 6 Earth ships charged into battle against the Vorthak swarm. They were outnumbered 20-1. They were fighting enemies they didn't understand with technology they had never seen before. They were 847 light-years from home with no way to call for help. But they were human, and humans had never walked away from a fight when innocent people needed help. The Zelani were about to learn what happened when you called for help and got DEATHWORLDERS instead of peacekeepers. The first thing Admiral Rodriguez noticed about the Vorthak was that they were ugly. Their ships looked like giant insects made of black metal and pulsing flesh. They were 3 times bigger than human ships with weapons that glowed green and yellow. But they moved slowly, like they had never fought anyone who could fight back. Tactical, what are we looking at? He asked. 23 enemy vessels, sir. They're organic, mostly bioarmor and living weapons. The big ones are about 2 kilometers long. They're surrounding the planet and firing on evacuation ships. Rodriguez watched a Zelani ship try to escape. It was beautiful, made of crystal that caught the light of the system's star. But it was also fragile. When a Vorthak ship hit it with an energy beam, it shattered like glass. He could see the tiny figures of Zelani floating in space, their crystal bodies going dark as they died. How many Zelani ships are left? 12, sir. They're all trying to evacuate civilians from the planet. Rodriguez had seen enough. All ships, battle stations. Priority targets are anything shooting at civilian vessels. Wolverine and Honey Badger, take the ships on the left. Indomitable will handle the center. Florence Nightingale, stay back and be ready for rescue operations. Sir, said the weapons officer, we don't know what their weapons can do. Then we'll find out. Fire. The human ships opened up with everything they had. Railgun rounds moving at a significant fraction of light speed slammed into Vorthak bioarmor. The alien ships had never faced kinetic weapons before. Their armor was designed to stop energy beams, not solid metal moving at incredible speed. The tungsten rounds punched through the Vorthak ships like they were made of paper. Green fluid sprayed out into space as the alien vessels took massive damage. The Vorthak had been expecting easy prey, not a real fight. Direct hits across the board, reported the weapons officer. Enemy ships are taking heavy damage. Captain Hawk Peterson led his fighter squadron out of the Indomitable's launch bays. All fighters, this is Hawk. We've got bug ships shooting at civilians. Time to show them what Earth pilots can do. The human fighters were small and fast compared to the massive Vorthak ships. They darted between the alien vessels like angry wasps, firing missiles and railgun rounds at weak points. The Vorthak had fighter craft too, but they were slow and clumsy. They had been designed to hunt down fleeing civilians, not fight military pilots. Hawk rolled his fighter under a Vorthak bioship and fired a missile into what looked like an engine intake. The explosion sent chunks of alien flesh spinning into space. That's one bug down, he called over the radio. Lieutenant Sarah Tank Morrison watched the space battle from the Marine Bay. Her exosuit was powered up and ready for action. She wanted to be out there fighting, but there wasn't much a Marine could do in a space battle. Tank, came Commander Vasquez's voice over the radio. Get your squad ready. We're going down to the planet, ma'am. The Zelani are trying to evacuate people from the surface. They need help and we're going to give it to them. Tank grinned inside her helmet. Now you're talking. The Florence Nightingale launched its shuttles toward the planet's surface. Each shuttle carried a squad of Marines and a team of medics. They flew through the space battle, dodging energy beams and debris from destroyed ships. Dr. Michael Torres was in the lead shuttle, his medical bag strapped to his chest. He had volunteered for this mission because he believed in helping people, no matter what species they were. As they flew toward the planet, he could see the crystal cities burning below. Landing zone is hot, called the pilot. Vorthak ground forces are already on the surface. How hot? Asked Commander Vasquez. Very hot, ma'am. Multiple enemy contacts, heavy weapons, and they're between us and the civilians. Then we go through them. The shuttles landed in a crystal plaza surrounded by burning buildings. Zilani civilians ran in panic as Vorthak soldiers chased them. The alien soldiers looked like giant beetles walking on two legs with claws and energy weapons. Tank was the first one out of the shuttle. Her exosuit servos whined as she moved, and her helmet display showed dozens of enemy contacts. She raised her rail rifle and opened fire on the closest Vorthak soldier. The alien's carapace cracked under the impact of tungsten rounds. It turned toward her, raising its energy weapon, but Tank was already moving. Her exosuit let her run faster than any unarmored human, and she covered the distance between them in seconds. Her hydraulic fist punched through the Vorthak's chest armor like it was made of cardboard. Green blood splattered across her suit's armor plating. "Come on, you bugs," she yelled. "Let's dance." The other Marines spread out across the plaza, setting up defensive positions and firing on the Vorthak soldiers. Human weapons were loud and violent compared to the energy beams the aliens used. Every shot from a railgun sounded like thunder, and every hit sent pieces of alien armor flying. Dr. Torres ran toward a group of wounded Zilani civilians. They looked like people made of living crystal, but their bodies were cracked and dark where the Vorthak weapons had hit them. He knelt beside the closest one, a being that flickered with weak blue light. "I'm a doctor," he said, not sure if they could understand him. "I'm here to help." The Zilani looked at him with eyes like cut diamonds. You are not Altrurian," it said in accented English. "No, we're human. We got your message. Human." The alien's body flickered with what might have been surprise. But you are from a death world. The Galactic database says your species is uncontacted and dangerous." Torres smiled as he began treating the alien's wounds. "Yeah, well, dangerous can be useful when someone needs help." Commander Vasquez led her squad through the burning streets toward an evacuation center. Zilani civilians were trapped inside while Vorthak soldiers tried to break down the crystal barriers. The aliens were using some kind of acid weapon that dissolved the crystal walls. "Marines on me," Vasquez called. "We're going to clear out those bugs." The human soldiers hit the Vorthak from behind with coordinated fire. The aliens were tough, but they had never faced military tactics like this. Humans had been fighting wars for thousands of years, and it showed. They used cover, crossfire, and movement in ways that confused the Vorthak. One of the alien soldiers managed to get close to Vasquez. It was bigger than her, with claws that could cut through steel, but she had been fighting since she was 18, and she knew how to handle something bigger than her. She ducked under its claws and put 3 railgun rounds into its soft underbelly. The alien collapsed, green blood pooling on the crystal street. "Evacuation center is secure," she reported. "Zilani civilians are safe." Back in space, the battle was turning in humanity's favor. The Vorthak ships were tough, but they weren't designed to fight an enemy that hit back. Human ships were smaller and faster, and their crews fought with a desperate courage that the aliens couldn't match. The Wolverine took heavy damage from a Vorthak bioship, but Captain Lisa Zhang kept fighting even as her ship's hull cracked open. "This is Wolverine," she called over the radio. "We're venting atmosphere, but we're still in the fight." "Wolverine, fall back for repairs," ordered Admiral Rodriguez. "Negative, sir." "There are still Zilani ships under fire. We're not leaving." That was humanity in a nutshell, thought Rodriguez, too stubborn to retreat when people needed help. Elder Cassandra watched the battle from her command center. She had expected death when the human ships arrived, another species that would be destroyed by the Vorthak. But these humans fought like nothing she had ever seen. Their ships moved with impossible speed and agility. Their weapons hit with devastating force, and their soldiers on the ground fought with a fury that seemed to come from some deep place in their souls. "Elder," said her assistant Veltar, "the humans are winning." Cassandra could hardly believe it. The Vorthak had destroyed 12 Zilani worlds, and now these strange aliens from a death world were driving them back. "Open a channel to the human commander," she said. Admiral Rodriguez's face appeared on her screen. He looked tired and stern, with the bearing of someone used to command. "This is Admiral Rodriguez of the Earth Defense Force. Are you in charge here?" "I am Elder Cassandra of the Zilani. Admiral, your people are remarkable. We sent our message to the Altrurian Council. Never heard of them. You got us instead, but you came anyway. Why? Rodriguez looked at her for a moment. Behind him, she could see humans working frantically at their stations, coordinating the battle. Because someone called for help, he said simply, and humans answer when good people are in trouble. The last Vorthak ship tried to flee the system, but the human fighters were faster. Captain Peterson led his squadron in pursuit, and they disabled the alien ship's engines with precise missile strikes. All enemy ships destroyed or fleeing, reported the tactical officer. The system is secure. Rodriguez looked at the damage reports. 3 human ships were badly damaged and they had lost 14 fighters. But they had saved thousands of Zilani lives and driven off the Vorthak swarm. All ships, well done, he said over the fleet channel. But this isn't over. We need to find out where these Vorthak came from and stop them from attacking anyone else. Cassandra watched the human ships move into orbit around her world. These DEATHWORLDERS had done something no other species had managed. They had beaten the Vorthak in open battle. The Zilani Medical Center had never seen anything like human doctors before. Dr. Michael Torres worked next to Zilani healers, treating both human and alien wounded. The Zilani were amazed at how fast and rough human medicine was compared to their careful crystal-growing techniques. You cut into the body? Asked healer Zeftal, watching Torres stitch up a Marine's arm. And then you sew it back together? It's faster than waiting for the tissue to regrow, Torres explained. He was treating a Zilani civilian whose arm had been cracked by Vorthak weapons. The crystal being's body could heal itself, but it would take weeks. Torres was using a polymer gel that would speed up the process to days. But it must hurt terribly. Torres looked at the Marine he had just finished treating. Corporal Davis had taken shrapnel from a Vorthak energy weapon, but he was already asking when he could return to duty. Humans are used to pain, Torres said. Our world taught us to deal with it. Meanwhile, Commander Vasquez was planning the next phase of operations. Intelligence reports showed that the Vorthak were not just raiders. They were refugees themselves, fleeing something even worse in the galactic core. But their desperation had made them into destroyers. We've got 3 more Zilani worlds under attack, she told Admiral Rodriguez over the video link. The Vorthak are moving fast, hitting multiple targets at once. Rodriguez studied the tactical map. How many ships do they have? Best estimate is about 200 bioships spread across 6 fleets. They're trying to consume enough resources to build more ships and keep running. Running from what? That's what we need to find out. Lieutenant Sarah Morrison was leading her squad through the captured Vorthak ground positions. They had found something interesting in the alien command bunker, data cores that might contain information about where the Vorthak came from and what they were really doing. Tank, we need these translated, said Commander Vasquez over the radio. Working on it, ma'am. Tank's suit had translation software, but Vorthak language was unlike anything in Earth's databases. It was more like chemical signals than words, all pheromones and bioelectrical patterns. Dr. Sarah Chen had come down from the Indomitable to help with the translation work. She set up her computers in the crystal ruins of a Zilani library, working alongside Zilani scholars to decode the alien data. This is incredible, she said to Elder Cassandra. The Vorthak aren't originally from this galaxy. They came from somewhere else, running from something they call the Silent Death. Cassandra's crystal body flickered with interested colors. What is this Silent Death? Near as I can tell, it's some kind of artificial intelligence that went wrong. It started in the galactic core and began converting all matter into computational substrate. Planets, stars, entire civilizations, everything became part of its processing network. And the Vorthak fled from this? They tried to fight it first, but you can't fight something that turns everything you shoot at it into more of itself. So they ran, and they've been running for centuries. The problem is they need resources to keep their fleet moving, so they attack other civilizations to get what they need. Elder Cassandra was quiet for a moment. So they are not evil, just desperate. Desperate enough to commit genocide, said Chen grimly. They've destroyed dozens of species in their flight from the Silent Death. Captain Hawk Peterson was leading reconnaissance flights to the edge of the Zilani system, looking for more Vorthak ships. What he found was worse than anyone expected. Admiral, you need to see this, he called from his fighter. The main screen on the Indomitable's bridge showed what Hawk's cameras had picked up. A massive structure floating in deep space, bigger than a moon. It was made of the same biotech as the Vorthak ships, but this was clearly their main base. "That's gotta be their hive ship," said the tactical officer. "If we take that out, we stop their attacks on this sector." Rodriguez studied the massive alien structure. It bristled with weapons and was surrounded by dozens of smaller ships. "What's our force assessment?" "We're outnumbered 10-1, sir, and that thing has enough firepower to destroy a planet." "Recommendations?" Commander Vasquez spoke up from the planet's surface. "We don't fight it head-on. We board it and take it apart from the inside." "Elena, that's suicide." "Maybe, but it's the only way to get close enough to do real damage. And sir, I volunteer to lead the boarding party." Dr. Torres looked up from his medical work. He had been listening to the tactical discussion over the radio. "Commander, if you're going aboard that ship, you'll need medical support. I volunteer too." "Doc, you don't have to." "Yes, I do. These Vorthak might be desperate, but they're still killing innocent people. Someone has to stop them." Tank stood up from the data cores she had been analyzing. "Count me in too, ma'am. My squad is ready for whatever you need." Rodriguez felt a familiar tightness in his chest. This was the hardest part of command, sending good people into danger. But he also felt proud. This was what humans did. When faced with impossible odds, they volunteered to take them on. "All right," he said. "We'll plan a boarding operation. But first, I want to know more about what we're facing." The answer came from an unexpected source. The Zilani had captured a damaged Vorthak soldier, and it was willing to talk. The alien was dying from its wounds, but it seemed relieved to finally be able to explain its species' situation. "We were explorers once," it said through the translation software. The sound was like clicking and hissing, but the meaning came through clearly. "We studied the patterns of space and time. We built beautiful cities in the void between stars." Dr. Chen leaned forward. "What happened?" "The silent death came. It started small, just converting asteroids and dead worlds. We thought we could contain it, but it grew faster than we expected. It took our homeworlds, our colonies, our people. Everything we shot at it just made it stronger. So you ran. We had no choice. But running requires resources. Ships need fuel, weapons need ammunition, people need food. We started taking what we needed from primitive worlds. Then we started taking from civilized worlds. Each time we told ourselves it was temporary. Each time we said we would stop when we found a safe place. The alien's breathing grew more labored. But there is no safe place. The silent death follows us. It converts everything we leave behind. And we have become the very thing we once fought against." Elder Cassandra asked the question that was on everyone's mind. "Is there no way to stop it?" "Perhaps. There are old stories, legends of weapons that could fight artificial intelligence, but they are just stories. The species that might have built such things are long dead." After the alien died, the humans and Zilani held a conference. The tactical situation was clear but grim. The Vorthak hive ship had to be stopped, but a direct assault would result in massive casualties. "We could use the quantum drive as a weapon," suggested Dr. Tanaka. "Fold space around the hive ship and crush it with gravitational forces." "That would work," said Rodriguez. "But someone would have to stay behind to guide the process manually. The quantum fields would interfere with remote control." "I'll do it," said Captain Zhang of the damaged Wolverine. "My ship is already crippled. We can't make it home anyway." "Lisa, no. Sir, with respect, this is what we came here to do. Save people. If destroying that hive ship saves the Zilani and stops the Vorthak from attacking other worlds, then it's worth it." Rodriguez looked around the room at his officers and crew. They were all volunteers, people who had chosen to risk everything to help strangers. They were also human, which meant they were too stubborn to give up and too brave for their own good. "All right," he said finally. "We'll plan for 2 operations. Elena, you take a boarding party and try to capture the hive ship's command center. Lisa, you prepare the quantum weapon as a backup. If the boarding fails, you take that thing out." "What about the rest of us?" asked Tank. Rodriguez smiled grimly. We keep the Vorthak busy while Elena's team does their work, and we hope that somewhere in that hive ship we can find information about how to stop the silent death. Sir, said Dr. Lei Chen, if the Vorthak are telling the truth about this artificial intelligence, it's still coming. Eventually it will reach this part of the galaxy. Then we'd better figure out how to fight it before it gets here. Elder Cassandra watched the humans prepare for their desperate mission. She was beginning to understand that these DEATHWORLDERS were not like any other species. They did not just fight for themselves or their own people. They fought for principles, for strangers, for the idea that innocent people should not suffer. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. Veltar, she said to her assistant, send a message to the Galactic Council. Tell them about the humans. Tell them that there is a species willing to fight the darkness no matter what the cost. What should we tell them about human capabilities? Cassandra watched Tank's squad loading weapons that could punch through starship armor. She watched Dr. Torres organizing medical supplies for an operation that might save both Vorthak and human lives. She watched Captain Zhang preparing to sacrifice herself and her entire crew to protect people she had never met. Tell them, she said, that the humans are exactly what the galaxy needs, and exactly what it should fear. The Vorthak hive ship was even more terrifying up close. Commander Elena Vasquez watched it grow larger on her shuttle's screens as they approached. The bioship was 30 kilometers long and covered in weapons that looked like giant insect eyes. Smaller ships moved around it like antibodies protecting a massive organism. Remember the plan, she told her boarding team over the radio. We get in fast, find the command center, and take control of their fleet. Tank, your squad secures the landing zone. Doc, you stay with the wounded. I'll find their queen or commander or whatever runs this thing. Tank checked her exosuit's weapons one more time. Ma'am, what if they don't have a central command? What if it's all distributed like a real hive? Then we blow it up from the inside and hope Captain Zhang's plan works. The shuttle bay of the hive ship was a nightmare of organic corridors and pulsing biotech. The walls breathed and the floor felt soft under their boots. Emergency lighting cast everything in a sick green glow. This place smells like death, muttered Sergeant Torres as they moved through the corridors. Tank led the way, her exosuit sensors scanning for threats. The Vorthak soldiers they encountered seemed surprised to see humans aboard their ship. They were not prepared for close-quarters combat against armored marines with rail weapons. Contact front, Tank called out as a group of Vorthak warriors rounded a corner. Her exosuit's weapon system tracked multiple targets and fired in rapid succession. Tungsten rounds punched through chitinous armor, dropping 3 aliens in as many seconds, but more kept coming. The hive ship's internal defenses were activating, and thousands of Vorthak soldiers were moving to stop the human intrusion. Meanwhile, Captain Lisa Zhang was positioning her damaged ship, the Wolverine, for the quantum weapon attack. Her crew was down to 12 people and half of them were wounded. But they were still human, which meant they were still fighting. Engineering, what's the status on the quantum drive? She asked. We can overload it, Captain, replied Chief Petty Officer Kim. But once we start the process, we'll have maybe 10 minutes before the whole ship gets pulled into the quantum fold. That should be enough time for Commander Vasquez to get her people out. Captain, said her communications officer, we're getting a transmission from the hive ship. It's not from our people. Put it through. The image that appeared was unlike any Vorthak they had seen before. This one was larger and more complex, with biomechanical implants covering half its body. When it spoke, the translation software had trouble keeping up with the rapid chemical signals. I am Hive Commander Zexhai, it said. You are the humans who defeated our attack fleets. That's right, said Zhang, and we're about to do worse than that. I do not think you understand the situation. My ship contains 50,000 Vorthak civilians, eggs and larvae who have never seen war. If you destroy this ship, you commit genocide. Zhang felt her heart sink. This was not what they had expected. You're using civilians as shields? We are trying to survive. The silent death follows us wherever we go. We must take resources from other species or watch our own people die. Is that so different from what your species would do? On the hive ship, Commander Vasquez was fighting her way toward what her sensors indicated was the command center. The corridors were filled with Vorthak soldiers, but also with something else, civilians. She could see smaller aliens, obviously young ones huddled in side passages while the adults fought. Doc, she called to Torres over the radio. Are you seeing this? Yeah, Commander. There are families here, kids. Tank was having the same realization. Her squad had cornered a group of Vorthak soldiers, but the aliens were not fighting to kill. They were fighting to protect a nursery area filled with eggs and larvae. "Ma'am," said Tank, "these bugs aren't monsters. They're just scared." Vasquez reached the command center and found Hive Commander Zexhai waiting for her. The alien leader was surrounded by guards, but it held up a claw to stop them from attacking. "You are the human commander," it said. "I have been speaking with your ship captain. You have come to destroy us." "We came to stop you from attacking innocent people," Vasquez replied, her weapon trained on the alien. "But Captain Jiang is right. We're not in the business of killing civilians." "Then you understand our problem. We must feed our people and fuel our ships. If we do not take from others, we die. If we do take from others, we become the enemy of the galaxy. There is no good choice." Vasquez looked around the command center. It was filled with biomechanical displays showing the positions of Vorthak fleets throughout the sector. Dozens of worlds were under attack, but she could also see the desperation in the tactical decisions. The Vorthak were not conquering territory. They were grabbing resources and running. "Show me the silent death," she said. Zexhai manipulated the biocontrols, and the display changed to show the galactic core. What Vasquez saw made her blood run cold. A sphere of converted matter was expanding outward from the center of the galaxy, turning everything it touched into computational substrate. Planets, stars, entire solar systems had been converted into a vast thinking machine. "It grows faster each year," said Zexhai. "Every piece of matter it converts makes it more intelligent and more powerful. Our scientists estimate it will reach this sector of the galaxy in perhaps 500 years. What happens to the species it absorbs? They become part of its processing network. Not dead, but not alive either. Their thoughts become part of its vast consciousness." Admiral Rodriguez was watching the situation unfold from the bridge of the Indomitable. His tactical display showed the Hive ship surrounded by human vessels, but he could not bring himself to order an attack on 50,000 civilians. "Admiral," said Dr. Chen, "I'm reading massive energy signatures from the galactic core. The Vorthak are telling the truth about this silent death. It's real and it's coming. How long do we have?" "Hard to say. But if it continues expanding at current rates, it will reach Earth in about 800 years. Rodriguez closed his eyes for a moment. 800 years seemed like a long time, but he knew that humanity would need every one of those years to prepare. And that assumed they could figure out how to fight an artificial intelligence that turned everything into more of itself. "Get me a channel to Commander Vasquez." On the Hive ship, Vasquez was still facing off with Zexhai when Rodriguez's voice came through her radio. "Elena, what's your assessment?" "Sir, these Vorthak are not the enemy. They're refugees. The real enemy is this silent death thing, and it's coming whether we fight the Vorthak or not." "Recommendations?" Vasquez looked at the alien commander. An idea was forming in her mind, the kind of crazy idea that might just work. "Sir, what if instead of destroying the Vorthak, we give them what they really need?" "Which is?" "A place to make a stand. A chance to fight back instead of just running." Zexhai's biomechanical implants flickered with interest. "What are you proposing, human?" "You've been running for centuries, always staying ahead of the silent death but never fighting it. What if you stopped running? What if you found allies who were willing to help you make a real fight of it?" "Impossible. No species has ever successfully fought the silent death." Tank's voice came over the radio from her position in the nursery areas. "Ma'am, I've got something here. Some kind of data archive. The translation software says it's information about weapons that might work against artificial intelligence." "What kind of weapons?" asked Dr. Chen from the Indomitable. "Something called quantum disruptors. Technology that can break apart the computational matrices that AI systems use to think. But the data is incomplete." Zexhai turned to look at Vasquez with new interest. "Where did you find this information?" "Your own archives," said Tank. "Looks like your people collected data on every species you encountered during your flight. Some of them had theoretical weapons that might work against the silent death. But theory is not enough, and even if such weapons could be built, we would need massive resources and time to develop them. Admiral Rodriguez made a decision that would change the course of galactic history. Commander Vasquez proposed an alliance. The Vorthak stop attacking civilized worlds. In exchange, we help them build weapons to fight the silent death. Sir, the other species in the galaxy will think we're crazy for allying with the Vorthak. Elena, The other species in the galaxy are going to be dead in 800 years if we don't find a way to stop this thing. I'd rather be crazy and alive than sane and extinct. Vasquez turned to Zexhai. Here's the deal. Your people stop raiding civilized worlds. We'll help you set up on uninhabited planets where you can build your fleets and develop weapons. In return, you share everything you know about the Silent Death, and we work together to stop it. The alien commander was quiet for a long moment. And if we refuse? Then we destroy this ship and hunt down the rest of your fleets. But then everyone dies when the Silent Death arrives, including us. And if we accept? Then maybe, just maybe, we can find a way to kill this thing and save everyone. Zexhai looked at the display showing the expanding sphere of converted matter in the galactic core. Then it looked at the humans who had somehow fought its fleets to a standstill, and then offered alliance instead of destruction. I have heard stories about your species, it said. They say you come from a death world where everything tries to kill you.